Hey folks, it's Jeremy Kirkland. You're listening to Blammo. How we doing? It's a beautiful day in New York, actually, as I record this, and I'm on the road again like Willie Nelson. You know what I'm saying? By the way, real talk. Willie has some bangers out there. Music stuff aside, I'm always digging into music stuff. But I'll be honest, I'm such an idiot that I have this thing against diving into essentials playlists. Like you're like searching for a band, you're searching for something to listen to, and you'll be like, oh look, here's the here's the essentials playlist. Why don't I just start with this? No way, we go full LP over here. That's just how you do it. Sorry, we can talk about that another time if you want. But anyway, this week I have everyone's favorite, Mr. Antonio Ciongoli of 18 East. Oh man, when he isn't skating ledges, he's riding big fits, and I was so glad he's back to dig in with me. If you haven't heard, he's been on the pod before. Antonio's a very old friend, good guy, and you'll hear my diatribe at the beginning of this, but I had to give Antonio credit for helping usher in this big fit revolution or evolution, whatever. I don't care what you want to call it, but it's really been amazing to watch Antonio's brand 18 East just flourish over the years. He's such a designer, and thankfully he joins me to check in on 18 East, Japan, LA pop-ups, and just being comfy. Let's get it. I want to start this off. I think the entire menswear industry, clothing industry, owes you a very, very large my bad apology for not being on the big fit tips as soon as you were. Because I want to set the stage here very, very quickly in the sense that I remember 18 East launches. So Antonio leaves Eidos, whatever. That's not a conversation we need to have. You move on from Eidos and you're like, I'm going to do this thing. It's going to be 18 East. It's going to be like more me. It's going to be, Vermont. It's going to be East Coast. It's going to be skaters. It's going to, it's going to be like the full embodiment of myself. And I remember you did this, and all the fits were huge. So much that there was an occasional backlash of sizing because people didn't get it and didn't know how to understand. So I'm going to make a little clap right there. And then fast forward to 2024 and everyone's like, man, I just kind of would like my stuff to fit, that brand Ado or not. They're like, that brand 18 East. You're like, yeah, like I just, I kind of want that sort of vibe, that sort of, So here we are 6 years later, 5, 6, whatever. And everyone, I would say this, I owe you an apology because I remember seeing it. I was like, dude, those are big fit. Like that's big, and then,
I mean, people still think it's too big. That's that, I think that, well, thank you. Look, at this point in my career, I'm just trying to keep my head down and do the stuff that I like.
Okay.
And try not to listen to that stuff and try to make things that get a minimal amount of returns. So, it's funny, like the very first release of 18 East, everything was sized really big. And I remember it sold really well, but we got a ton of stuff back. Mm-hmm. And so it's been we've been working on this for like 5 years now. It's been a long time trying to find a balance of figuring out how to make things fit the way that I want them to and get the customer to understand it. And we've approached that a bunch of different ways. Mm-hmm. And so for the longest period of time with 18 East, I just took kind of like the skateboarder approach, which was growing up skating. We all wanted to wear big clothes. Nobody made big clothes. Like no one made pants that had a true fitting waist, but with a leg that fit the way that we wanted it to. And so we just all bought the next size up. So for me, that's always just been like, I've just always done that. I've just always bought clothing that's a little bit bigger than would naturally fit and just kind of run with it that way. And I've sagged my pants my whole life. And that's one of those things. So I'm kind of used to wearing stuff that way. And so it seemed to me that the smartest strategy for 18 East was we developed almost all of our fit blocks with an industry standard fit model. And then we just recommended that people size up. And so when we photograph it, online, we would size up on the model. And so this has created like a lot of confusion and like a substantial amount of negativity, where people say like, I don't understand this, that this doesn't make any sense to me. I'm looking at the model. It looks big and cool, but then I try it on and it doesn't fit me. And I was like, yeah, well, it doesn't fit the model either. Like if you were to like lift his shirt up and look at it, like there's 4 inches of extra fabric around his waist. He's just wearing a belt. And so, which like for me, the idea was some people don't want to wear huge clothes. And so some people like the look of the clothing. They like the fabric, but they don't want to wear really big things. And so, we develop things to fit like quote unquote normally. And then if you want it to be bigger, you buy a size bigger. And if you want it to fit you kind of like a J. Crew pant or a J. Crew shirt would fit, then you buy a regular size, buy your normal, your like normal true to size. And so that's what we've been doing up until really the last year when we started. We've segmented the brand in a couple different ways. And so we've built this kind of, we call it mainstays. We've built this kind of core collection of kind of like the things that people come back to us over and over again for. And that has allowed us, and those things fit fairly standard. They're like, there are some slimmer things in the collection. And then because we have that, we've then decided to make a bunch of things that we're not going to compromise on at all. So we've made, there's a new t-shirt that we put out called the Gram, which, is really big. Like it's got like a half sleeve and it's really wide through the body and it's a little bit shorter. And it's the kind of thing like you can't size down on it. It's like it literally won't look right. You're either going to wear it the way we want it to look or it's not going to look good. So you just shouldn't buy it. And so we are able to now do both things, right? Like in my mind, we can service the customer that wants something that, these silhouettes are proven. We love them. I still probably buy them a size bigger than I normally would. But for the guy that wants the Gurecki cargo and our double knees grade, and we make a great field shirt, and there's so many good silhouettes in that program. But then we have these things, balloon pants, and this new pant that people seem to be excited about is our Kel, is like this single pleat pant that's the suit bottom pant. That pant fits in the waist. It has an elastic waist, but it fits in the waist. There's no way you are saying, I like the look of that, but I want it to be slimmer. It's just not going to happen. The leg is the leg. You cannot size down on it. It's not going to work. So you have to take the size that's going to fit you in the waist, and the leg is going to be huge. And if you don't like the huge leg, we have a different pleated pant model for you. Yeah,
because looking at the size of the Kel pant, it says waist. Your variance is, I'm looking at a medium. It goes on 28, 28 to 36.
Right. So, because it has an elastic waistband. Yeah. So, I mean, that gives you a little bit of room, but I think the thing that on some level was a head scratcher for me, just because of how I grew up, is that like a lot of men don't wear belts and don't feel comfortable.
Do you wear a belt?
Wearing pants that don't fit them. I would never not wear a belt ever.
Really?
So,
okay. All right,
never. I mean, I wear elastic pants with a drawstring and I'll tie them, and that's fine. But if my pant has belt loops and no elastic, I wear pants too big to do that. That's
fair. Okay.
And so, the idea of wearing a pant, it's like, that's like serial killer behavior to me. Like the idea that someone would wear a pair of pants, not buy a pair of pants because it doesn't fit them perfectly in the waist without a belt is just unfathomable to me. But I recognize that that's like that's just how I grew up, right? I've never worn pants that fit that way. So this is a situation where we're, particularly with the elastic waistband, like we can make it work, like this is one of those things where you can do that. And now you can wear a pant, you can get a silhouette that's bigger and have it fit in the waist.
But I want to jump back like 2 minutes in the sense that you were like, look, when I was doing 18 East, when I started it was, I feel like ADOS, and even, Michael Bastian era, which is where you were the deputy creative director previously, you wore tailored stuff, and that connected to your roots and where, from inspirations from family members, from all that stuff.
Sure.
And then, and it was a question like you kind of found, do you feel like you found your own style at 18 East more? And I only say that now as a person, because selfishly, this entire conversation is all about is for my own happiness here, because I am almost 39.
Yep.
I feel like maybe the past 3 months I've settled into being like, oh, no, this is my style. Like everything else was just pre-gaming, was just figuring out, was taking the wrong directions, was doing all these other things. And I'm not belittling any work that you previously did. I want to be very clear. But like,
sure,
when you were talking about, was more me, like, I feel like I'm hitting that now. In some of it is being more confident in myself. Some of it is knowing that like I don't work in a career that forces me to adhere to some sort of uniform. But in a weird way, I'm more and more in a uniform where it's like, I can't imagine. And I say this because I just threw out a metric ton of tailored clothing that was awesome. Right. But I was even texting Jeff Hilliard and I was like, yo, Jeff, I was like, what the fuck were we doing? And he was like, dude, we just wore our clothes way too tight. He's like, he's like, it was so tight. And the funny thing is I wouldn't buy pants unless I could wear them without a belt.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a lot of people are like that. It's just my background in how, even when I wore, like, I would have pants with side tabs. I just have no ass either. So like my pants sag no matter what. Like, that's just like, that's one of those things where like my pants, I've always sagged my pants, even when I was trying to wear things more high waisted, when I was wearing tailoring more. Yeah. Like my pants just always ended up sagging. It's just the way I wear pants. Yeah. So for me, the idea, I'm just very at home with wearing a belt, but I can understand, particularly from a tailoring perspective, because that almost feels like a different thing, right? The conversation you're saying, like, if you're getting Ambrosi to make you a trouser, right? Like, that should fit without a belt, right? Because it's bespoke, right? Like, that's like, I mean, obviously knowing your background at the Armory, like, that makes complete sense. But if you're going to buy a pair of jeans or a cargo pant, and like, I guess that's the thing is like, for what I'm doing now, it's just so everyday and casual that like, I just, that kind of OCD, it has to be perfect approach, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it feels like that's a whole different world from what I'm doing. Yeah. Right. That's the thing is, it's like, I look at what we are doing as a brand and the lookbooks that we shoot and the product that we make, and applying that OCD approach to how clothes fit with our clothes. I just actually don't see, it's like, I don't understand how a person that thinks that way is actually interested in what we're doing. Like, because it feels like what we're doing is the exact opposite of that approach. It's, like what we do is a little messy. Like, that's so it's like, if we're like a little messy, if you're going to be super specific about every little measurement, you're not going to like what we do, like it is very, very imperfect.
Well, and here we are, 2024. I don't think you've really changed any of your stuff other than what you were saying, where it's like, look, we just have this thing. We're not compromising on this pant or whatever. But like, now you have the kind of, the Brera jacket, and the Kel pant, which is basically a suit. Yeah. And it is basically what every single person's trying to wear in Japan. And I say this because when I was in Japan, all the stuff, even the United Arrow suit I got, I'm like, it's bigger, it's engineered garment sort of style. There's nothing really in it. It is tailored, I'm air quoting that word, in the sense that like it has the silhouette of a sport coat, and there's a lapel, etc. But like, sure, now we're in this era again, 2024 18 East, you have this suit style thing, but it's the most like Antonio Ciongoli suit, the most 18 East style suit like you're ever going to do. And I feel like now, like, people are seeing that, including me. And I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, versus early on. And I say this, not that I was never a fan, because I was, but I was like, man, I don't see how this is, how is this working? And so it's like, are there other people coming up to you now? Or are there business people coming up to you and being like, damn, dude, like, you were just so much further ahead. Like, how come we didn't know this, or we didn't see this coming? Because like, you got Jacob Gallagher writing about bigger fits. You got, Derek Gott, you got all these other people, and not that those people weren't giving you your flowers. I want to be clear again, but it was just like, now more and more and more people, where it's like, even like going and seeing stuff at Target. I was at Target earlier this morning and the fits are bigger. Yeah, sure. Look, it's the fits are, so it's funny you say like the fits are bigger at Target, which means it's probably going to swing back the other way sometime soon. Right. But I think from my perspective, having worn like hyper tailored clothing, right? We both went through a period where we were, like, I sold tailored clothing for a living. So I was wearing sport coats and suiting every day for 5 years, mostly. When you have stuff that's made for you, the idea of making it like
for you and fit you perfectly, makes sense. I don't live like that anymore. I have almost no need whatsoever for tailored clothing in my life, right? The Kel pant, the ripstop version of it, the sewn ripstop version is one of my favorite pants we've made at 18E so far. I've been skating in it a ton, right? But then it's also a suit pant, right? So it's like,
also out of stock for most sizes for folks trying to get it.
But yeah, so like that, like that pant works across this whole thing. It's something I want to be able to move in, and I just don't want to look fussy. Like that's I think it comes down to that. Whereas like when I was so focused on tailoring and the idea that I wanted everything to be perfect, just don't care about having everything be perfect anymore, right?
What do you think changed in that?
So it's like I just want to be comfortable, and I think we've all kind of dialed in on this idea now. Like as fits have started to relax a little bit, like it's very hard for me to wrap my head around this idea that I would somehow swing back to something slim, just because it's not as comfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? I'm sure that's going to happen, right? Like we're having this conversation right now, and I feel like these kinds of conversations are actually what starts getting like people listen to this and they're like, well, fuck that. I'm going to now do the other thing. Right. And so like, I'm sure very soon, I mean, and I feel like it's already percolating a little bit, but for me, as I'm older, and we are both older, right? Like you do kind of settle into a groove and find the thing. And then that's your thing. Michael Bastian used to talk all the time about his dad, about how like Armani was his dad's, like the mushroom colored Armani suit was his dad's thing. He found it, dialed in, and like never was interested in anything else again.
Yeah.
And frankly, like, I mean, aside from gorge height and lapel shape a little bit, right? Like that suit, the Brera jacket and the Kel pant, like that's what I think I'm going to want to wear for suiting.
Yeah.
Right. Like I look at it, I really like how the pant feels. Really like how how deconstructed the jacket is, and that's just an evolution from Ados. Like the reality is that aside from the lapel expression, like that jacket fits the way I always wanted an Ados jacket to fit, and like really struggled to figure out. This kind of does that, right? And it's something that like you can very easily wear with a t-shirt or with a polo. I brought the army linen one and the seersucker one on vacation in Ischia this summer, and like wore them both with shorts, and like, they're just so empty enough that they're like, it doesn't feel like you're wearing a sport coat, because I don't really ever want to look like I'm wearing a sport coat ever again, unless I'm going to like a wedding or a funeral, right? Like that's like I'm
but even then you'd wear 18 East at a wedding right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd absolutely wear that army suit.
Yeah.
I would absolutely wear that army suit at a wedding. But I'm just saying, like the idea of like, I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine a situation in my life that I would need to wear a suit, like a real suit. That's not for some very specific occasion, right? Like I go to our store, like when I come to the city, I go to our store, I like skate around the block to go get a chai tea. Like what am it's like, so much of that and my daily routine has kind of incepted the collection and me just in my wardrobe, right? Like I have a fairly standard uniform because my life is pretty formulaic, right? Like live in New Jersey. I live in New Jersey. I skate and hang out with my family when I have free time, and otherwise I'm probably at the shop. And if I'm at the shop, I want to be around. So it's some version of a cargo pant and a white t-shirt almost every day. And then what's nice is that the Kel pant is now I feel like I don't have to wear a cargo every day because it fits kind of the way I would want a bottom to fit. So, and then when I'm in New Jersey, I wear shorts and go to the beach, and I mean that's it.
I mean, it's great. Like and it's funny too, because when I was in Japan too, like all the pants have. I mean, the big sort of like taboo thing or not is like, are your drawstrings on the outside or the inside? Like all these pants I was seeing.
Is there a right answer? We do both, and our team is very, very like we have very polarizing opinions about what the right thing is. So
I mean, I like it on the inside.
That they both work. It just depends on the rest of the pant.
Yeah. I mean, but like all these pants and all these silhouettes and stuff I'm seeing where it's like, or you're kind of like you're edgy, whatever, and you have a because these other pants I got that I was like, man, these are so good, and like the sales guy was wearing them, and like other people on the street wearing them, and they were basically just like a tailored style pant, kind of like your Kel pant with the elastic back part. The front part's clean, but they
Yeah.
have a I don't know what the right word is, but kind of like a scout sort of, like built-in belt.
Yeah,
Sure.
Like
Yeah, that's
yeah.
you can adjust the grow grain.
Yeah, like the webbing belt.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And so, I mean, there's stuff like that, but I was just, and seeing all of that. And I think also seeing every different type of body wear that, and it looks good. I mean, like for me too, like I had all these things in the back of my head, and I feel like I was very, very late on like the bigger clothing styles because it just reminded me of like fat Jeremy. And I was little, and it was like, well, I kind of just hid behind this stuff, and it's not like I'm super healthy, Jeremy, now, but it's like there's, it was always this like mental trigger thing. And now seeing more of this stuff where it's like, from United Arrows and 18 East and Ralph's got bigger stuff now, and everyone being like praising, Armani from the late 80s or longer shorts or, pleats, all these, it's just like this perfect storm. But I think the biggest thing is like a lot of brands are changing and evolving, and we can list, off mic 500 different brands that like a few years ago were doing that. And I think the biggest reason why I was like, I got to talk to Antonio about this is because if I held up 2018, 2019, 18 East and 2024, 18 East, it's kind of like a Cuccinelli thing. Like it doesn't, there's not much of a difference in the best way,
I appreciate that. I think the biggest difference is that we're using a lot less pattern.
You mean like the textile pattern? Okay.
Yeah. Like sure. Textile. That is definitely the biggest difference if you were trying to identify one. And also, like, look, it's just making.
Wait, hold on a second. Okay, before you send that DM or text that friend, I know what you're thinking. You're ready to buy your first serious watch, or in other cases, maybe your fourth or your fifth. But look, man, it's hard out there. It really is. From this dealer or that store that wants the purchase history or whatever. I mean, you're just, I don't know, you're almost ready to walk away from the whole game. But fear not, my friends. Check out Bezel. Bezel is the trusted marketplace for buying and selling your next luxury watch, with expert in-house authentication on every purchase. With over 18,000 watches listed right now, as of the time I'm recording this, from a mix of professional dealers to private sellers, you're just going to find what you're looking for. But wait, I know. You're like, Jeremy, I'm sorry. They don't have that X Rolex or that insane Omega. Well, reach out to them. Bezel has a real team of real people. Just create an account and be connected with a private client advisor, and they will guide you through the entire process every step. Once you decide on your watch, it's overnighted to Bezel HQ, where their in-house team of experts authenticate it, and then it's on your way to you. If anything is amiss, the watch is not listed correctly, whatever it is, they'll let you know, the buyer know, and the offer to refund you or source you a new one at a similar price. That's pretty good, right? This has been part of the Bezel ethos since launch. I've even spoke to the founders about it. And now you can make an offer on a watch, buy it outright, or bid it at auction. Bezel is the highest rated watch marketplace out there. Even Trustpilot shows Bezel is 4.9 out of 5 stars with rave reviews. Okay, you're still on the fence? Dig into the Blamo feed yourself and listen to my chat with the Bezel co-founders and, well, see for yourself. But you got this. I believe in you. Visit getbezel.com and buy and sell your next luxury watch. That's getbezel.com. Getbezel.com.
The only times I've ever been successful is when I do things that feel genuine to my interests. Because if I that's the only way I know how to sell something is through my own enthusiasm. And so, we've largely stuck to that. And so 18 East has looked like a skate brand at times. It's looked like an outdoor brand at times. It's looked like a tailored clothing brand at times. But the reality is that I'm actually interested in all of those things. So none of it feels forced or fake. At least I hope it doesn't, because it's all actually some stuff I'm interested in, right? And I have the background in all of it. So hopefully it comes through as what it is, which is like authentic. Do you know, like it really is. We make the stuff that we actually like, as opposed to like, oh, should we be making trucker hats right now? Which
do you wear trucker hats?
We're not. No, lots of people make them. There are lots of brands that do them, and that's good for them. But like, that's just not something that makes sense to us. It's not the kind of thing that. So like, there are trends that we just can't go anywhere near because they're not part of who we are or how we think. And so it's very, it's when outdoors was something that was interesting. Like I've been like camping and hiking my whole life in Vermont, right? Like that's one of those things. Skateboarding is cool. Like I've been skateboarding since I was 11. Tailored clothing is now becoming interesting again. The track record is there, right? So it's like, this is not a hard thing for me to be able to, if I'm interested in it too, or feeling it too, it's not a hard thing for me to do and have it feel right, because we've always done it on some level or another. There was an 18E suit in like drop 4. Do you know what I mean? Like we did. One of the earliest collections we had a suit in it, right? So we've always done that. It's just trying.
It
to
wasn't the Brera though, right?
There
was more structure in it, there was like
it was not the Brera. It was unstructured. It was just a different silhouette altogether. It was nice. It was the Osmond jacket. Actually, it was great. We just don't work with that supplier anymore. We've played with lots of different silhouettes. But I think that the Brera feels nice. The Brera is longer than the jackets we've done before, which, I mean, I was fighting with buyers for 5 years at Ados trying to get people to buy longer jackets. And that was one of those things that, like, man, I mean, I remember I got into a war with Sid Jerome in the showroom about that, like where he ended up walking out of the meeting.
Wait, what? Over the length of a jacket?
Yeah, over the length of a jacket, because he liked the thing, but he wanted me to shorten the jackets, and I refused to do it. He was probably right. Ados doesn't exist anymore, right? Like I was so idealistic in what I believed at the time that probably had a negative effect on lots of different things in Ados. Now I'm trying to cover all of the boxes and, there's room for us here to be able to play with niche ideas that we're excited about and do things that we think a lot of people are really going to like. And I think what's been very heartening from this summer in specific is that the niche ideas are really working. Which makes me happy, because it's stuff that, like, some of this stuff has taken some time. Like, as you said, some of this stuff the joke is always that our favorite stuff is the stuff that sells the worst. And I think that this season, it feels nice that there's things that we're doing that we're really excited about, that our whole team is really excited about, and we're wearing every day, and customers are like leaving the store with it, right? Like, it is, the store, it's been remarkable. We're just selling that t-shirt like hand over hand. Like every person that comes in is leaving with one. And that's crazy, because that t-shirt is hyper specific. It is a very, very specific fit. So I wouldn't expect it to do as well as it did.
This is an honest question. So, like, I've been lucky to work with a lot of different brands and consult with them and stuff. And one thing that always comes back is, some sort of larger conversation into which the creative team has been tasked with. The brand needs to grow and sustain itself, right? You got to pay bills, you got to pay employees. And they're like, hey, how do we reach more people? Now, you have other brands where, I don't know, maybe like a Stussy ages ago, or even like the roots of Supreme. It was not about altering or growing the brand to reach more people. It was just about continuing to service the people who were already into the brand. Right. Do you think that there's a right or wrong answer? And like, because it looks like 18 East is like, look, we've done our thing, and people are just, you're into it or you're not, And so I'm curious, like, what do you think is the right way to do stuff?
That's a hard one. I think I would like to grow because I want to take care of our people, and
fair.
And I want to continue to be able to increase our team. I genuinely, I think we're one of the 5 best brands in the market. Period. I think when you look at quality to cost and silhouette design, I think we're very, very hard to beat. Just a lot of people don't know who we are. And so I think for us, growth, it's just one of those things where we just need to get it in front of more people. And so it's figuring out how to do that, in the right way. And so for us, that's like, do we open more stores, right? Like we have this pop up in LA right now that will run through August 6th, although we're probably going to extend it because we've been looking for a store there for a long time. And we found it's really amazing space. It's a wonderful expression of us as a brand out there. And so that's been really, really nice. I think the idea of just serving an existing customer, how many Gorecki pants can a person own? That's, I mean, look, sure. we have customers that have like 12 pairs, right? But I think that our approach to making clothing, I mean, I'm really, really proud of it. And it to me, I think we should be much bigger than we are. Just from a just because of how good I think our brand is.
Yeah.
So we're small still, and I think that there are brands that are much bigger and much more popular that we are much, much better than. And so
what do those brands do different? Do you think they just spend more on advertising? Is it celebrity?
I think that's definitely part of it. They do advertising. They have traditionally done advertising much better than we do, because I traditionally was the one that was doing the marketing and the advertising, and that's not a huge skill of mine. We, within the last year, brought a guy named Adam in, who came from Arc'teryx, who's fantastic, and I think that you could probably go into the 18's Instagram and see when I stopped and he started. I think that that's helped tremendously. So yeah, I think it's storytelling, and that really is on me, right? Like I once had a conversation with Teddy from ALD about 18 East, and I was asking him what was working, and he was like, "Well, dude, everything's working." He was like, "But," I was like, "What works the best for you guys?" And he's like, "It's the branded things, you know." He's like, "It's the things that say ALD on them." And I laughed, and I was like, "It's so funny. It's the exact opposite for us. We sell silhouette, like specific silhouettes, really well, but when we write our name on something, it tends to not do very well." And he laughed, and he was like, "You're not doing a good enough job storytelling." He was like, if you got better at that, people, when you're really good at storytelling, people buy the brand. You are very clearly a product designer, and so people are coming to you for product, right? But they're not buying into the idea of 18 East as a brand. They're like, this brand makes a great pant, and I want that pant, but I don't want it to say the brand name on it, because I want it to be about me.
How did that sit with you when he said that? I mean, it's a strong criticism, but it sounds fair.
I think he's right. I think that that's fine. I think that there's a lot of things I do well. I know I'm a product guy. I always have been. That is what my strength is.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like from a marketing perspective, I was good, not great. It's like the stuff that I feel like a lot of the stuff we did early on, under my direction, was good, but like it could definitely be better. And so you look at a brand like ALD, and their marketing is really strong, like so strong that I had to mute it because I didn't want to see it anymore. Like it was too, it just like got into my head too much. And so I don't look at that at all anymore. But I think that they are such good storytellers that has made such a big difference in the growth and accessibility of that as a brand. And I'm not putting down their product at all.
No, I don't hear that.
But I think that that's what they really do well. Teddy is a tremendous storyteller.
I think the stuff though with that kind of marketing, and this is the thing I think you do really well, is that, and we talk about, because you worked at Ralph Lauren, we all know a lot of Ralph people, where a lot of the kind of unwritten internal orders is you kind of hit people over the head with stuff,
Sure.
But I think what 18 East does really well is when you do so much marketing and you get real hot, you can't stay hot forever. And
totally.
I've already seen people who are like, yeah, I'm not wearing 18 East because this dude wears it. And that's a person
Sure.
they don't want to deal with or associate with. I mean, I say that as a person, but there's a lot of brands that like the second someone buys that brand, I was like, all right, I can't wear it anymore because you're swagless clown and I don't want to look like you. And so, I mean, I'm a jerk, I admit it, but like, I think like that's a thing that ALD is having to navigate right now, is there are,
yeah, sure.
And I recognize it sounds incredibly elitist and classist for me to say, but when you really think about like these brands, if what they are is a brand and is a storyteller, like then the only one who's ever done it right forever is, it looks like as of today, Hermes, right?
Yeah.
You just, and Hermes doesn't, I don't know, all their biggest things that you buy, the logo is, I don't even know where the logo is on a Birkin bag.
Right. Yeah, but lots of people have that H belt, right?
I know that's always a death rattle. You see someone walk in with an H belt and you're like, ooh, you just kind of fade into the bushes.
But I mean, I like people that I used to work with and for, were huge Hermes fans and like wanted not the H belt, but like they wanted to be like, yeah, but it's Hermes, they're buying into that brand idea that what Hermes is the best, right? And like everything that they do is the best version of that thing. All this stuff can send you spiraling, and has sent me spiraling at different periods of time. And I think that where I've landed is we've built a really, really good team, a team that I trust implicitly. My designer that works with me, Samantha, like the collection has gotten so much better since she has come in, just because I'm not just ping-ponging stuff in my own head. And very often you could look at old 18s collections and there'd be a garment and I'd just be like, what was I thinking when it came in? And that just doesn't happen anymore because we look at everything together and she'll look at me and be like, what the fuck are you thinking? Right. So that's amazing. It's really, really amazing. But yeah, we're in this place now where we're just doing the stuff that we believe in and the stuff that we like. And we're trying to tell the stories that matter to us and trying to make the products that we're excited about. And if you like it too, great. When I'm communicating about it, all I know how to do is tell you why I did it. Right. So thankfully we have someone else, that's running socials and the marketing that can speak to it a little bit more differently than like the crotchety art history professor way of being like, this is why. Yeah. That's that.
When does Japan stuff happen, or is it happening?
Funny that you say that because I'm trying to figure it out right now, like literally today. So we last year we did a collaboration with Nanga, which is an incredible down outerwear manufacturer.
So good.
And made a great jacket that did really well. And so we're doing it again this year and trying to figure some sort of pop-up event in Japan for this October. And right now it's looking like it's like a 50% chance of it happening or not happening. So it just needs to make sense for us. So we're just exploring a few different avenues for how we would do that if we would do it. But I think Japan, Korea, the UK, like all of these things, we would love to be bigger that way. I am not chasing anybody down for anything at this point in my life. And that's a huge part of the strategy of 18 East, because the strategy of ADOS, the wholesale strategy in general, is chase people down, right? Is try to find new stores, try to get as much into that store, try to get paid for all the stuff that you got to put into that store, right? I think I fell into the trap a little bit at the beginning of 18 East with collaborations, where we definitely got burned with some shoe collaboration things that I think like stalled out our momentum a little bit early on. And I feel like we're like just now starting to recover from for certain things. And so look, we would love to be more prevalent in all of those markets, but I'm not chasing anybody down for anything, man. So that's one of those things that, like, if the right opportunity presents itself to do something, then we'll do it. And we've definitely had conversations in all of those markets, and it looks like we'll be doing something big in the UK this winter, a physical thing in the UK this winter, which we're very excited about. We've been talking to a retailer in Korea about something too, but all of this stuff we need to approach in our own way. We're not interested in being a wholesale brand at all. And so if we're going to do something like this, it needs to be something specific that feels special and not continuative. And right, it's like kind of like what we did with Bodega a couple years ago, where we worked on a capsule together and put that capsule out. And these are the kinds of ways that we're thinking about doing stuff like this, because we just don't have the bandwidth. We don't have the bandwidth or the emotional energy to try to be a wholesale brand and do everything that entails, because it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think for folks who don't know, to be a brand, say you're a US brand and you want to go to Japan, it's not really like you just walk over there and you find a store and then you just bring your product and do it. I mean, this it may sound cruel, but like a lot of Japanese clothing brands, it's almost like a cartel, in the sense that like you have to get kind of let in, or you have to be brought in through certain distributors, only because the red tape is so difficult to navigate. And so a lot of times, like Supreme is a great example of which I don't know what the current setup is now, but like initially it was Supreme Japan and Supreme US were like separate companies, and they would license deals with each other. And so for folks who are, who aren't familiar with that, like to crack the Japanese market. And it's mainly also because the Japanese market solely cares about servicing the Japanese market. There's not.
It's also a fantastic market, right? There's so like good. there's a million incredible brands that you know, like you and I haven't heard of, but like that, yeah, just that don't even try to go outside of Japan, that make incredible product, right? Like, why would you?
Yeah.
I mean, No Man Walks Alone has always done a good job of Greg going to Japan, like finding those brands and trying to put them into the store, but the pricing of it is always so crazy
because they don't,
like, they don't really build margin
exactly
for it, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a strange nebulous thing. They almost don't need us, right? So it's like what, like they just don't. Yeah. So I don't know. One of the things that I hear the most is that, like, oh, you guys must have an enormous business in Japan. You would think, and we do. It's all e-commerce, right? And shipping things internationally sucks. It's super expensive. And so I feel like that has substantially held us back internationally. And so it's just trying to figure out the right partner. We've had a few different conversations with distributors and things in Japan that have tried to figure that out, but we don't want to wholesale.
Yeah, and you lose so much of your sort of, well, one, you can lose a lot of money in how much that they want to eat, to bring stuff in because of all the importation stuff. But then, I mean, you essentially almost kind of have to wholesale, because then they're like, well, fine, we'll pay you a licensing agreement to use your brand. And now you're like, well, wait, what am I in control of and what am I not?
Right. Totally.
It's a challenge. Yeah. I don't think people totally understand
it. Wholesale, for us, almost completely removes the value proposition of our brand, right? It's like, that's another thing that we hear all the time for people that have like a baseline understanding of quality in clothing. People look at what we do and they're like, oh, you're so well priced. And it's like, and they're like, we'd love to sell. Stores will be like, oh, you're so great, you're so well priced, we'd love to sell you. And I'd be like, yeah, if we sold to you, it would be at least 40% more expensive than it is.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So like the well priced thing changes fairly dramatically, because we're not building wholesale margin into the product, right? That's it's just I like the hearing quality and value, and like the different perceptions of that thing is such a funny one to me, right? Because some people will look at it. Everyone's different, right? But people will look at our product and be like, oh, it's so expensive. And I'll be like,
really?
Man. Yeah, some people, some people, that's, I feel like it depends on the almost the age group. You know what I mean? Like, the younger the person is, the less they get it.
The younger they are, the less they get it.
Yeah. I mean, in my experience, it's like, we both know Jake Wolf, right? Jake recently just came to the store and did he very nicely kind of featured a bunch of the stuff we were doing. And he posted the same content on Instagram and TikTok.
Oh,
and on Instagram, the comment that I think his audience, if I had to guess, is substantially older on Instagram. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. And on TikTok, the comments were overwhelmingly negative, with people saying that basically the prices were insane. And it's just, I think I feel like it highlights the maybe the disparity of people that just, I don't know, age maybe, and access to understanding how stuff is made and quality. I don't know.
Yeah. And for folks, the pant we were talking about, the Kel pant, is $178. So it doesn't, I'm not a rich person. I mean, I have food and clean water and stuff, but like that's not a ouch sort of hurting pant when you look at, Balenciaga, you look at all these other things that $1,200, $800, anything on Essence. I mean, that stuff is expensive, but I mean, 178
to be clear, $178 for a pair of pants is not inexpensive. And I'm aware of that, right? Like, that's one of those things, like, that's a lot of money. I mean, to a huge chunk of people, it is very, very expensive, right?
Okay.
I think, to me, when you look at our fabrication and when you look at like the fabrics that we're using, the methods that we're using, where a lot of our fabrics are woven by hand without electricity, a lot of times they're embroidered by hand block printed. These are things that I feel like when you say them, people are like, oh yeah, hand by machine, right? Where they're like running stuff. It's just a very different lo-fi process. And so I challenge a lot of people to find product made from the fabrics that we use, using the techniques that we use in the silhouettes, and like playing with the ideas that we're using from a shape and construction perspective that comes anywhere close to what we charge. It's going to be very difficult. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. And so I feel very, very good about that, like a tremendous amount of thought and R&D went into developing that pant and getting the fit the way that it was. And I feel like for what that is, it's a good value. There are things in the market that I'm sure look similar, but it on somewhere along the line is missing an element that we have. They have not checked the box that we have checked. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I still think it's not, and like your stuff. What was it? I mean, it was maybe like a Michael Bastian quote where it's like it should hurt, but it doesn't hurt too much.
Yeah, that's definitely something Michael said for sure.
Yeah, I don't think any of that stuff is like that, and because I think that one of the things like this gets talked about a lot, and so I was a consultant for this brand, and they were trying to get new customers, and so everyone has like your customer acquisition costs or whatever. And one of the things that they were doing, which, this is pretty common in like tech stuff, is you subsidize your product a ton, and you're like, fine, because they're going to get into this, like they're going to get into X thing, and then we're going to make more on that. Right. Which is very tech stuff. It's like subscription things, and you assume all that stuff's going to lock in. But I feel like with clothing, obviously it's much more difficult. But when you had mentioned the younger stuff, yeah, it makes sense too, because the amount of like younger kids, so I take my daughter to a summer camp, and there's kids, up to like junior high in there, and they're all buying like bags of shit, into which it's like Shein and Temu and all these things. And I'm like, oh, this is super interesting. I'm like, when I was younger, I wanted like a bum equipment sweatshirt or an IOU sweatshirt. Like I had, or even like polo, like I had strong relationships with a brand. And I feel like more and more of these like younger kids, they're getting relationships with a service that is access to just stuff.
Yeah. I think that they see the trend and they want to look like the trend as cost effectively as possible.
Yeah,
which I understand. I get that. It's just not what we do.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that idea. They're just also exposed to so much more stuff than we were when we were younger too, right? It's like you get into subculture, and so you see like it's like what people wore in high school, and then the specific stuff that you were into that you were maybe seeing in a magazine, like seeing in some punk zine, or like in Trans World, or like a different skate video, right? And so like it was the mix of those two things, and that's what it was. But now these kids have access to the whole world in their hand all the time. So I don't know, it's a little different.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, and I know I might sound like some old person just being like, well, kids, it's so crazy that wasn't how it was when I was younger. But like, yeah, I'm pretty dumbfounded, and a part of me is like, dude, you're fucking missing out. Like for me, what was fun was getting into brands, and like, Pokemon made sense because the point was you got to collect them all, and there was stories and there was stuff that was into it, and like this is just shit. I don't know, whatever. I mean, I was gonna say this is such an easy like old man yells at cloud conversation. I know, I'm like shaking my head. But I mean, subculture was the point. Like that's that, right? Like that was I wanted that, like it was less about like looking a certain way. Like I wanted to know all the things. Yeah. And then wearing the clothing that associated with that group was a signifier that you knew all the things, right? Like that's and that stuff is the stuff that I think about right now. And that's the part of it that I think when I look at the future of it, it makes me a little bit sad, is that like, having those magazines and those videos and being so obsessed with learning as much as I can, literally that's the stuff that I'm thinking about right now, and the stuff that is affecting 18 East. And I don't think that my career exists without those specific interests in subcultures, right? And so I just don't know how creativity persists when people aren't actually interested in things, right? But I guess AI is going to do it all for everybody anyways. So yeah, so that's funny you said AI. I don't know how much I can like leave this in, but my wife works for a creative group company, whatever, and does a lot of different stuff. And one of the things she said that she was starting to pick up on is a lot of people are using but they're older people. They're using AI prompts to do things that are like not that difficult to do. And she's like reading it, and she's like, oh, this person had an AI thing write this. you know, even then, like there's a couple different, like I'm seeing this now with emails on like small e-com companies, like really small companies, like brands that you and I know, and they're having AI write their email stuff because I'm like, oh, MailChimp turned on the AI thing for him, and you're reading it and you're like, oh, dude, I don't know. I kind of hope that a lot of folks will kind of push back on it as like that's like what my parents did. I mean, I know younger kids who aren't into Instagram.
I really, really hope, right? That's a yeah, the whole thing is terrifying to me. Absolutely terrifying to me.
Well,
but
that being said, like you talked about your skating, you're hanging out with your fam. What are the other things you've been doing lately that's kind of either grounded you or helped you disconnect a bit? Like, what are you getting lost in?
And running and trail running is really what started it. Although I trail run less I trail run more in the winter, the fall and the winter than in the summer. Because I'm like, I'm embarrassed to admit like just how afraid of ticks I am. Like,
it's funny. I was gonna be like Lyme disease, man. You don't want to mess with that.
Yo, I'm terrified of ticks.
Same.
Like, I hate them, and it really is a shame because so I started this. I've always hated running just in general.
Yeah.
And I started walking our dog in the woods over the winter, and then it snowed once, and I took him off leash, and he was running around, and we were having a great time, and then like I started running after him, and then we both kind of just started running through the snow, and I was listening to some music, and I was like, man, this is crazy. I don't even feel I kind of felt like I was in Vermont. And so, which, you know, because I live in New Jersey, I like it's something. I had this very crazy, almost like out of body nostalgic feeling while I was doing it. And I went and I did it again the next day. Right. And like I did it every day that there was snow on the ground where where the two of us like, and because there was snow on the ground, no one else was on the trails. And so we were running side by side in the woods, and it was the best. And it's kind of just kept going to the point where that's what I'm like, I've been skating a lot less and running a lot more. And it's just, I run with my dog. It's been really, really fun. Really, really fun. I never thought that I would be a runner. But that's been the thing that I have been doing lately. And, you know, my kids do cross country. My wife, Jenna, has always been a runner. She ran in high school. She runs races. And that's been a little bit of the joke, is that now that I'm running a little bit, she's like, oh, you should start doing races. But I don't know that I'm there for that.
Yeah. I try to run, but only because I just feel like I've gotten so lazy or tired. Like I have a group training style thing that I go to a couple times a week. Like I was there earlier today, and then I'll go to the gym a couple times a week, maybe throw some barbells around. But I'm like, I'm getting older and I'm feeling it. And I'm like, okay,
sure.
I can't have like late night pizza here and not suffer for it. So I'm going running and I'm doing these things, but I freaking hate it so much. And Andrew Chen was like, yo, put it on like Strava. Like you're going to feel better. Like you should put it on there. And
that's interesting.
And he was like, yeah, he's like, you kind of have a thing to be accountable to because you look and you see what your pace is, you know?
Yeah.
The problem is I follow all these other people or other friends of mine who are all running. And it's like, I literally had to go into the app and it was like, hide my pace. Cause it's like,
well, see, I was going to say, that's the thing that like, I wouldn't, because I suck.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not running.
Yeah. It's like, that's the reason why I wouldn't want to run a race, is because, you know, like this is what I do like about it is the solitary element of it. Particularly my favorite part of it is running in the woods. So it's like my dog and myself, and we're just out, and I'm in my own thing. I'm in my own space. It almost feels like skating a mini ramp, which is crazy. Like that's like where it's just like back and forth. You're focused on.
Oh yeah.
So it's like putting it out there is kind of counterintuitive to the whole thing, because I'm trying to like actually get to a place where I'm not thinking about it at all, and I'm just. Right. It's like, it's about being in the woods and thinking about others, letting my mind wander and thinking about other things. So
are you listening to anything while you're doing it? Are you like you listen to?
I will
silence?
tell you, and I what started it, because I'm actually an unabashed Noah Kahn fan, because he's from Vermont. And he's from Vermont, and where he grew up in Vermont, Stratford, is 10 minutes from the summer camp that I went to when I was a kid, and then worked at throughout middle school and high school. And it's one of my favorite places in the world. And the music sounds like my thoughts in high school at that summer camp. And so I remember the first time when I did that run the first time, I was listening to that album and I literally just felt like I was home. And so like there was something about that that I really, really loved. But so there's that. I also recently fell on like a deep dive into just being obsessed with Ian MacKaye. Like unbelievable. Like I've watched every interview he's given all throughout, and then so I've been listening to a ton of his most recent album. Like he is in a band with his wife and Joe Lally, who is the bass player from Fugazi, and it's called Kariki, and that album is amazing. So yeah, it's just a lot of Ian MacKaye's, all of the different bands is what I've been listening to probably the most frequently, and then a little bit of Kendrick Lamar because I definitely like Kendrick over Drake. So,
dude, I got super into. It's funny, like you had mentioned, kind of like some like throwback sort of stuff, because I'm like running and I'm like, I need some like groove stuff, and I like will listen to Sirius XMU or whatever it is. And I'm like, yeah, these are cool. They're cool indie rock songs, but like I wanted, and I basically found myself going back to all this Van Halen stuff.
Nice.
And and like some of it is like a little tacky here and there. I mean, not that Van Halen's tacky, but it's just like the only thing I can listen to is like some sort of 4/4 time signature, whatever, of a like wild guitar solos. And I like in my head will pretend that I'm like going to the concert, but my kids are in the band. Dead serious. I've never said this. And my kids are like in Van Halen and they're playing. And then I start like crying while I'm fucking running because I'm like some proud parent imagining my like children playing in Van Halen, and I'm running, and all of a sudden I look down and I'm fucking flying, dude. It's the craziest. Dude, it's so awesome. It's the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I like look down and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like running super fast, but then my body catches up with me. But I'm like, yeah, dude, my son's just like, my 2-year-old, just played a raging guitar solo. And I'm like, dude, he did it, man. And I'm looking down. I'm like,
dude, you're a good storyteller, right? You're telling yourself the story. Really, I know. That's amazing. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it's funny that like the Noah Kahn thing, I feel like the other part of it, I look at the way I justify it because I feel like I'm much too old to be listening to him. Like I'm not a high school girl, which I feel like is the majority of his audience for sure. But I just think about the fact that guy, like that he was trying to make it and he was doing stuff that he thought everybody wanted to do. Well, like he thought everybody wanted him to do. And then when he just started telling the story of like his own life and where he was from, it clicked and blew up. And for me, I'm like, I don't know that guy. I'm like proud of that guy. As a Vermonter, it's like, man, this guy just stuck to his guns. He started telling his own story and being true to himself. And look at what happened. Like I'm so psyched for that guy.
Antonio, you are that guy. This the whole point of this conversation, literally, to tie it back to the beginning, is you are that guy.
I think his success and mine are a little bit different because he's selling out Madison Square Garden and Fenway.
Okay,
but no matter what, it's one of those things that I am an unabashed. We've spent too much time talking about this. But I do I'm really, really happy for that guy. And so I do like listening to that music a lot.
Yeah. I got into that, and then I also, how like you remember when you would have a regular TV and you'd flip through channels and something would be on and you'd be like halfway through it and you'd be like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna finish, Jurassic Park or whatever that's like on there. And you're like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna do it. I don't remember where I was. It might have even been like a doctor's office or whatever, but it was Guys and Dolls. The like
I've never seen Guys and Dolls.
Oh, dude, Brando, man.
Is it good?
Yeah. Marlon Brando's in it and he's a fucking G.
That's crazy.
Dude, it's so good. But like it was on and I was like, whatever. And I like walk over and I was like, hey, could you like turn the volume up? And they're like, yeah. And I'm watching it and I'm like, dude, musicals, man, they're so good. Like Marlon Brando's so awesome. And there's a scene, like it's no spoiler, but like he's in Cuba and they're like dancing, they're doing all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And so all of a sudden I found myself listening to like show tunes. So yeah, whatever.
Epic. Look, man. Justify everything. But look, whatever makes you feel something.
Yeah, that's true. I'm doing that. And then, I don't know, I guess getting stoned and playing Fortnite. So that's a whole other can of worms. But before we wrap or close anything out, Do you see yourself, you've toyed with other sort of mediums, I mean, more as like you've kind of done different collabs with shoe brands and other things. Do you see yourself ever doing furniture? And I say that as a person.
Furniture.
Yeah, I think you've always had a very higher mindset, and a lot of the furniture stuff I've gotten since I've known you, from like, popping into your Soho apartment, the furniture level's always on point. So I'm curious if you ever kick that around.
Yes, I have absolutely thought about that. We've talked about 18 East Home a ton.
Yeah, dude. Do it.
And it's one of those things that our whole company's like, it's a great idea. And then we're just so busy that we forget to, like so much of what we do lends itself to home, because a lot of the fabrics that we use are really kind of rooted in home upholstery fabrics and things like that.
Yeah.
So it would be very, very easy. I just am so focused on clothing. But yeah, because I've been thinking about store design a decent amount, I'm thinking about fixtures and the layout and the build out and all of those things. And it's definitely stuff that we've talked about, because the other part of it is like, it's all so expensive when you're trying to do that. And you're like, I just want to, like, the table in the store in New York, I built myself. I built the same one for our LA pop-up. And you look at Donald Judd and you're like, I could figure this out. Like, I could do this, right? And so, no, I'm not putting that down. I think the design's amazing. I'm just saying, like, the actual
plywood chairs and stuff. Yeah,
I was not saying that pejoratively. The idea was really more that there's a way to approach those things that is very DIY, and that I love that, right? So, I've definitely thought about things that way. I think it will, at least now, if you're going to see me making any sort of furniture, stuff like that, it's going to come through store design first. And thinking about how to make the things we need to make our brand vision the most clear in the space. But yeah, I have had conversations with our primary manufacturing partner in India about working and like starting to design chairs and filling a shipping container with them and sending them back. So, there's definitely a few sketches of different chairs.
Yeah. That's all I want to do I don't even have the space, and I have a house now, and I'm just like, it'd be cool to get a new chair. It'd be sweet to get a new chair. I don't know. But
man, I was going to say, once you have a house and it's full, then you're like, where do you put, at a certain point, you're like, oh, we're out of space to put stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's like, Jenna wanted to go to an estate sale today, and I was like, I got stuff going on, but also I was like, what? Like, there's no room for anything anywhere. Yeah.
Well, you got to get rid of stuff so you can make room for the new stuff.
Exactly. I like the stuff that we have.
Yeah. I mean, you've always had good stuff. Well, Antonio, thank you. It was good. It was good to check in here. So appreciate it. Talk to you soon, man.
Dude, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Blammo. Our show is produced by Blammo Media. We're edited by Amar Lowell, and our theme music, as always, by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. If you like what you heard, you know the drill. Share the pod with a friend. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever other thing you're listening to us on, whether it's Dingledorp or Bing Bong, whatever it's called. But you can also follow us on Instagram for all the hot content. If you want to talk to us and give us your hot take, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us an email at info@blamopod.com. Last but not least, super, ultra important, if I had a air horn, I would press it right now. You got to come and join us over on Patreon, because the fun never stops over there. Look, the live show, the free show, whatever you want to call this, we take breaks here and there, but Patreon, it never stops. And we also got exclusive shows like Dye Workwear, hosted by Derek Guy and Peter Zotolo, and the Triple J Show, hosted by yours truly with John Moy and Gene DeLeon. There's just a ton of stuff over there. So check it out at patreon.com/Blammo. If not, no worries. We got hundreds and hundreds of free episodes in the feed, and more to come. So we will see you all soon.